So what's on the menu today? Sweet and sour pork, food court style. Let's go. All right, so we have a lot on our cutting board today, guys, but it's a great recipe. Don't get discouraged for all these ingredients because it's gonna go quite quickly. So let me tell you what we have. So right here we have some pork pieces. I cut them up into some bite-sized pieces like this. This is about a pound of pork. We have green bell peppers, red bell peppers, some baking soda. We have some oyster sauce here. We have tap water here, some plum sauce, some ketchup. These three dishes are cornstarch. We have some rice vinegar, some W sauce here, some flour, garlic cloves, red wine vinegar. We have some chopped pineapples, and we have some scallions, the white part of the scallions here, and some more tap water here. And back here we have soy sauce and an egg. So yeah, guys, it does look like a lot, but watch how quick it goes. Once you get all this stuff measured out, you're gonna see how quick this recipe is. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start marinating our pork. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all our marinade ingredients, which is our soy sauce, and we're gonna pour it over our pork meat along with our red wine vinegar. And guys, if you want to use salt, you can, but since I'm using this soy sauce, I'm not gonna add any salt to it. And I'm gonna add our cornstarch here. And I'll put the measurements and ingredients in the video description below. And all we're gonna do now is we're just gonna get this mixed up like this. So we're gonna let this sit in the marinade for 20 and 30 minutes. And now we're gonna move on to our sweet and sour sauce. All right, so now we're gonna take an empty dish and we're gonna start preparing our sweet and sour sauce. So we're gonna add our ketchup, our plum sauce, our water, sugar, W sauce, our oyster sauce, our rice wine vinegar, and our cornstarch. What I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna get that mixed together. All right, so now we got our sweet and sour sauce made. We're gonna set this aside and we're gonna continue. All right, so we're gonna start preparing our frying batter by adding our flour to this empty bowl, along with our cornstarch, our baking soda. Give that a mix real quick like this. And what I wanna do here, I wanna add a pinch of salt. And we're gonna mix that again like that. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add our egg, our water, and we're gonna use a cup of water. And we're gonna use a teaspoon of some vegetable oil. What you're looking for is you're looking for a thick consistency. So we're gonna get that mixed in like this. All right, so guys, I'm gonna add just a little bit more flour. I want a little bit thicker than what we have it right here. It shouldn't be too milky, but it doesn't need to be really, really thick either. So if you're not getting the consistency, that thick consistency, just add you a little bit more flour. All right, so I got the consistency that I'm looking for right here. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna take our pork and we're just gonna add it into this bowl. We're gonna let this soak in here while we heat up our oil in our pan before we start frying. And you wanna make sure these babies are all submerged in here into that marinade. All right, so let's continue. All right, so now that we're over to our cooktop, right now I have a pan. I put some oil in it. You want it high enough so you can deep fry these pork bites. And I've got my heat coming up to temperature right now. So once it's up to temperature, what we're gonna do is we're gonna drop our pork bites in there and we're gonna fry them till they're golden brown. All right, guys, so I think we're up to temperature right now. Now, if you need to cook these in batches, feel free to do so. I'm just gonna take them right out of our pan, a bowl. I'm gonna add them right in here. And as I mentioned, we're gonna cook these babies until they are golden brown. And of course, cook all the way through. We don't eat any uncooked food over here, unless it's some sushi. All right, so it looks like we're about 5 minutes in. So look what we have. Look, these guys are golden brown, what we want them, like we want them. So I'm just gonna take them out of our pot and I'm gonna put them in a bowl. I lined it with some paper towels. to drain that grease off of it once it hits it. So I'm gonna have to cook another batch anyway. So I'm gonna let them rest over here. All right, guys, so our second batch is done. I'm gonna go ahead and remove these also from our grease. All right, guys, so this is what we have at the moment. I'm gonna set this aside and we're gonna set up for our next step. All right, so what we're gonna do now in this step is we're gonna start preparing our veggies and our sweet and sour mixture. So right here, you can use a regular pan. Right here, I have a wok style pan right here. I had one here in the kitchen. I didn't realize I had this, so I'm gonna use it just to put me in that same mood of Chinese, woks. You know what I'm talking about, guys. So I'm gonna use a little oil that we had from frying the pork, and I'm gonna heat it up in this pan right here. Well, put it back in that pan, bring it back up to temperature. And once it gets up to temperature, what you wanna do, you wanna go ahead and add your garlic. And guys, we like to cook our garlic until fragrant, but we're gonna cook this here just till it starts to turn just a little brown. Remember, don't burn your garlic. All right, so as you can see, we're starting to turn brown here. And right before it becomes brown, we want to start adding the rest of our veggies. That's our red peppers, our green peppers, and our pineapple. And guys, we want to cook this until we start smelling that aroma from those peppers, pineapples, and that garlic mixed together. And you want to make sure your veggies are, a little softened, even when you start smelling that fragrant. I'm gonna sprinkle this with a little salt. All right, so I'm at that fragrance point right now. So what you wanna do is take your sweet and sour sauce, and now you wanna add that to your veggies. And you wanna continue to cook this. As soon as your sauce starts to thicken, you wanna come behind that with your pork bites. All right, so we're gonna come behind that with our pork bites. And now we're gonna get that mixed in here. All right, so now what we're gonna do now is we're gonna add our scallions. Remember we had those left over? We'll add those in there. And we're gonna mix it. Another quick mix to get that incorporated in there. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over to our cutting board for our final presentation. All right, so we have our bed of rice right here. So what we're gonna do is just start adding our pork right here. And there you have it, guys. Chinese sweet and sour pork. I'm gonna leave the measurements and ingredients in the video description, guys. Go check it out. Let's head over here to quality control. Man, I'm ready. This stuff looks good and it smells good. Let's go. All right, so now it's quality control time. My plate of sweet and sour pork, Chinese style. And guys, we're gonna jump right into it because I want to know what this baby tastes like. Oh man, I'm dropping right there. Take a look at that. Oh. Man, just like the food court. Guys, when you're in the food court, you be walking through and they be giving you those samples. You walk by, you just say, I just want to get the sample, I don't want to eat this. And you start sampling all the meat on you, like, I think I want this right here. And that always happens to me. I always say I ain't gonna eat it. Then I start sampling, I say, okay, I'm gonna eat it. So guys, this is good. If you're looking for a food court style Chinese sweet and sour pork, this is it right here. Now, if you want to substitute pork with chicken, feel free to do so. But until then, I'm your cook, Spinelli, and you already know this is all wings everything. And remember, I'm not a chef. I just cook a lot, and now I'm out. Peace.